Brendan Howland, please.
Ceann Comhairle, and I begin, as I think most of my debates on, when we're talking about EU Council statements, by decrying the shortage of time we have. It's certainly not I think, in accord with the commitments we made after the Lisbon Treaty. All of the normal debates, all of the normal issues and challenges faced at the EU Council, in which we normally debate in this chamber beforehand, have been eclipsed in the last 4 weeks following the illegal and unprovoked war of extermination launched by Vladimir Putin's Russia against the people of Ukraine. The world, and especially Europe, has changed, and nothing will be the same again. I welcome the Minister's comments in relation to the next phase of sanctions that will be taken. I wish I had more time to deal with them in detail. But in the very few minutes I have, Ceann Comhairle, with your indulgence, what I want to do is to address our short-term, our country's immediate response to the current humanitarian crisis, which has resulted from the displacement of unknown quantities of human beings within Ukraine and across all of Europe now. We in Ireland may well be on the edge of Europe. However, it is expected that we will welcome up to 200,000 refugees here, and we must prepare. But most importantly, we must be ready now, today, tomorrow, and the next day, to properly receive and look after desperate and traumatised people arriving on our shores. And I don't believe we are. I want in particular, Ceann Comhairle, to reference my home constituency in the port of Rosslare. In a most welcome and generous act, Stena Line Ferries is offering free passage aboard their ferries to Ukrainian refugees who want to seek refuge in Ireland. Yesterday, more than 180 people arrived in Rosslare, availing of that facility. Another Stena vessel from Cherbourg is due to arrive on Thursday, and an even larger vessel, the Astrid, will arrive from Cherbourg, a Stena vessel, on Saturday. It's expected that many hundreds of people will be on board those vessels. Hundreds of traumatised refugees seeking refuge in Ireland. However, at the port, well, there is an amazing amount of goodwill from local volunteers trying to do everything that they can, from the local authorities desperately seeking accommodation and doing what they can. There is an absolute absence of coordination. And I'm asking to the two ministers here present, action today in relation to coordinating the response. Because we need to appoint a lead agency, somebody, as happened during the COVID crisis, when the army were in charge and marshalled the resources of the state departments and so on to effective good. Because there's now a variety of agencies and individuals desperately trying to do good, but without that coordination. IPAS, the International Protection Accommodation Service, needs a strong physical presence to meet those arriving who have no shelter. Comprehensive COVID testing needs to happen, because people are not being tested for COVID. Practical issues, like making payments. When people are processed, it's taking hours to process. The Department of Social Welfare is giving them checks. But third-party checks can't be easily cashed with people who have no identity, no identification, and don't speak English. It's been facilitated now, because that was needed, by the local community, bringing people to the local supermarket and providing them with a cashing facility. But let's be practical about what we can do. In short, I mean, there's so many things. The issue of cars. Dozens of cars are arriving. But as soon as they drive off, they're not insured to drive on our roads. And what happens if in an accident? We need to talk to the insurance companies, provide a solution to that now, this week. We collectively need to recognise that this country now, particularly our ports, are zones for war refugees, something we have never experienced in our lifetime. The nearest we had, I suppose, was at the start of the Troubles, when we had a mass migration across our borders. But I have lots of other suggestions to make from my experience in it, and we need to learn from these matters, and we need to act now. And that's my appeal. I'm hoping to be able to talk to ministers directly to put resources in place to meet these matters that are happening this week.
Thank you, Deputy Howland. Deputy Sean High.